two men forced into a marriage for family and reputation. To the outside world, their relationship is nothing more than a contract. Rumors spread. Old lovers return. Trust begins to crack. But behind the cold vows and public scrutiny lies something neither of them expected. Chapter 1. A love that slowly grows after marriage. Without love. The rain had stopped by the time Ji-hoon arrived at the house, but the air still smelled damp, like something heavy had passed through and left its weight behind. The living room lights were too bright, too clean, too deliberate. Ji-hoon stood near the doorway, hands at his sides, posture straight, expression composed. Anyone looking at him would see calm, control, acceptance. No one would see the way his chest felt hollow. The family will arrive shortly, his mother said, smoothing imaginary creases from the tablecloth. Try to look agreeable. Ji-hoon nodded once. Agreeable was easy. He had spent his entire life mastering it. On the low table before him lay a thin folder. Cream-colored. Gold lettering. Marriage contract. No names written yet, but Ji-hoon already knew how it would end. He had not been asked if he wanted this. Only if he understood why it was necessary. Rumors had begun quietly, whispers in boardrooms, murmurs online. His name mentioned too often alongside words like indecisive, unstable, unsuitable. His family's business partners had smiled politely while reconsidering their investments. A marriage would silence them. A marriage always did. You don't have to pretend to be happy, his father said, not unkindly. Just don't embarrass us. Ji-hoon's fingers curled slowly, then relaxed. I won't, he said. Seo Yoon-jae arrived precisely on time. He entered the room with a presence that felt heavier than his footsteps. Tall, sharp, impeccably dressed. His expression was unreadable, his gaze steady but distant, as if he had already accepted whatever awaited him. They bowed. Brief. Formal. Ji-hoon noticed the way Yoon-jae's eyes lingered for half a second too long before moving away. Recognition. Not familiarity, but understanding. This is how men who have lost something look at each other. They sat across from one another, the table between them a careful boundary. I appreciate your willingness, Yoon-jae said, voice low and even. I understand the situation. Ji-hoon nodded. Likewise. There was no awkwardness. No forced politeness. Just two people agreeing not to ask questions neither wanted answered. The elders spoke. Terms were discussed. Timelines established. Neither man interrupted. Neither objected. When the contract was finally placed before them, Ji-hoon picked up the pen without hesitation. The paper didn't tremble. His hand didn't shake. He signed his name neatly. Yoon-jae followed. The sound of the pen leaving the paper felt louder than it should have. Applause followed. Soft, relieved, grateful. A problem solved. A silence purchased. Later, after the guests had gone and the house had emptied of expectation, Ji-hoon found himself standing by the window. Night had fully fallen now, the city lights distant and blurred. You don't have to move in immediately, Yoon-jae said behind him. We can take things slowly. Ji-hoon turned. Up close, Yoon-jae looked tired. Not physically, but deep, unfixable tired. The kind that settled into the bones after heartbreak had already done its damage. Thank you, Ji-hoon said. That's considerate. Yoon-jae gave a faint, humorless smile. We're married, not enemies. The word married landed oddly. Too final. Too unreal. There are rumors about me, Yoon-jae added quietly. You should know that. Ji-hoon met his gaze. There are rumors about me too. A pause. Then, understanding. Yoon-jae inclined his head slightly. Then we won't owe each other explanations. Relief flickered across Ji-hoon's chest, brief and unwanted. Yes, he said. That would be best. That night, Ji-hoon lay awake in his childhood bedroom, staring at the ceiling he had memorized years ago. He thought about love, not as something romantic, but as something dangerous. Something that demanded too much and left too little behind. He had loved once. He had given everything. And when it ended, there had been no sound, just the slow realization that no one was coming back for him. So, this marriage, quiet, distant, unfeeling, felt safer. Tomorrow, he would move forward as a husband. A role. A responsibility. A shield. Ji-hoon closed his eyes and exhaled slowly. If love never came again, he told himself, he would survive. What he didn't know yet was that the man sleeping in a different house across the city was making the same promise to himself. And that silence, once shared, had a way of becoming something else. Chapter 2, Separate Rooms, Separate Wounds. They moved in on a Sunday. No ceremony. No photographs. No shared excitement. Ji-hoon arrived with 2 suitcases and a box of books. Seo Yoon-jae arrived earlier, everything already arranged, as if the house itself had been prepared to accommodate silence. The place was spacious, modern, immaculate. Too immaculate. "This room is yours," Yoon-jae said, opening the door to a guest bedroom at the far end of the hall. "I usually sleep in the master." Ji-hoon nodded. "That's fine." There was no hesitation from either of them. No disappointment, either. That, Ji-hoon thought, was the strangest part. They settled into an unspoken routine quickly. Mornings were quiet. Evenings are polite. They only spoke, when necessary, avoided each other when possible, and never crossed invisible lines. Ji-hoon woke early. Yoon-jae stayed up late. Their lives overlapped only in fragments. Shared space, shared obligations, shared last name. At breakfast, they sat across from each other, news murmuring softly in the background. "You don't drink coffee," Yoon-jae observed one morning. Ji-hoon paused. "I can. I just prefer tea." Yoon-jae nodded, as if filing the information away somewhere private. The next day, there was tea waiting. Ji-hoon didn't mention it. The rumors began before Ji-hoon realized how much they would hurt. At first, they were subtle, headlines phrased like questions, smiles that lingered a second too long at events. A cold marriage. A strategic union. Separate bedrooms, separate lives. Someone suggested Yoon-jae married to cover a scandal. Someone else claimed Ji-hoon was desperate. Neither of them corrected the story. At work, Ji-hoon overheard whispers in elevators. "Have you seen them together?" Apparently, they barely speak. "I heard he's difficult to live with." Ji-hoon always kept his head down, hands steady, and expressions neutral because he had learned long ago how to endure. Yoon-jae endured differently. He returned home one evening later than usual, shoulders tense, jaw tight. Ji-hoon noticed immediately when he saw him enter the hall. "Long day?" Ji-hoon asked, surprising himself. Yoon-jae looked at him as if he wasn't used to being asked. "Yes." Then, after a pause, "I'm sorry if the rumors bother you." Ji-hoon quickly shook his head. "They don't." But that was a lie. Yoon-jae noticed but didn't call him out on it. "Good," he whispered faintly that Ji-hoon almost missed it. "Then I guess we're doing our jobs well," he said, walking out of the hall into his room. That night, Ji-hoon lay awake, listening to the house settle around him. He wondered what kind of heartbreak had taught Yoon-jae to move through the world so carefully. He wondered if the rumors hurt him too, or if he had already learned to live beneath them. Sometimes, Ji-hoon heard footsteps outside his door late at night. Never a knock. Always a pause. Then retreat. It made something ache in his chest in ways he refused to examine. Weeks passed. They learned each other without meaning to. Ji-hoon learned that Yoon-jae disliked loud television and kept the lights dim in the evenings. Yoon-jae learned that Ji-hoon folded laundry with meticulous care and never left a dish unwashed. They began sharing meals more often, not intentionally, just by coincidence. One evening, Ji-hoon burned the rice. "I can fix it," Yoon-jae said, already standing. Ji-hoon watched as he moved efficiently around the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, expression focused. There was something disarming about seeing him like this. Unguarded, ordinary. "Thank you," Ji-hoon said quietly. Yoon-jae paused. "You don't need to thank me. We live together." The word together hung in the air, fragile and undefined. Silence settled amongst them as they ate, but it was a gentler silence than before. Later that night, Ji-hoon stood by the window, watching rain streak down the glass, lost in thoughts. The city lights blurred into something soft and distant. "You don't regret this?" Yoon-jae said from behind him. It wasn't a question. Ji-hoon considered the truth carefully. "I regret the reasons," he said at last. "Not this." Yoon-jae exhaled slowly, as if releasing something he'd been holding on to. "That's enough," he said. "For now." They went to their separate rooms again that night. But Ji-hoon noticed something new as he closed his door. The silence no longer felt empty. It felt like something waiting. Chapter 3. When Rumors Learn to Breathe. Ji-hoon learned about the article from a stranger. He was standing in line for coffee when someone behind him whispered his name, not softly enough. "That's him. Seo Yoon-jae's husband." Ji-hoon didn't turn around. He didn't need to. His phone vibrated a second later. A link. A headline wrapped in polite language and sharpened with implication. A marriage of convenience? Sources question the nature of Seo Yoon-jae's sudden union. Ji-hoon closed the page without reading further. By the time he reached the office, the story had already spread. Some of his colleagues avoided his gaze. Others watched him too closely, as if looking for proof of unhappiness and of failure. At lunch, he ate alone. Across the city, Seo Yoon-jae read the same article in his car, hands gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles whitened. He didn't curse. He didn't react. He simply saved the link and drove home early. The confrontation came quietly. Ji-hoon was in the kitchen when Yoon-jae returned, jacket still on, tie loosened, expression tightly controlled. "You saw it," Yoon-jae said. Ji-hoon nodded. "I'm sorry." The word slipped out automatically, trained, unnecessary. Yoon-jae frowned. "You didn't write it." "I married into it." Silence fell between them. The article had been careful. No outright accusations. Just unnamed sources. Just enough truth to wound without liability. "Do you want me to respond?" Ji-hoon asked. Yoon-jae studied him for a long moment. "Would you deny it?" Ji-hoon didn't answer. Yoon-jae nodded once. "Then silence is better." He turned away. Ji-hoon watched him leave the room and felt something twist in his chest. Not anger, not fear. Loneliness. The ex appeared 3 days later. Ji-hoon didn't recognize him at first. Not until the man spoke his name with familiarity he hadn't earned anymore. "You look thinner," the man said, leaning casually against the cafe doorway. "Marriage not agreeing with you." Ji-hoon stiffened. "You shouldn't be here." The man smiled, slow and knowing. "Funny. That's what you said before you left me too." Yoon-jae was standing across the street, phone pressed to his ear, when he saw them. The way the man leaned in. The way Ji-hoon stepped back. Yoon-jae crossed the street without thinking. "Is there a problem?" he asked, voice calm, eyes sharp. The ex turned, appraising. "Ah, the husband." "Yes," Yoon-jae said. "And you are?" "No one important," Ji-hoon said quickly. The man laughed, still protective of other people's feelings. Some things never change. Yoon-jae placed himself subtly between them, not aggressive, not possessive. Just present. "You should leave," Yoon-jae said. The man's gaze flicked between them, irritation flashing briefly. "Tell him I said hello," he said to Ji-hoon. "We never did finish our conversation." He walked away. The damage remained. That night, the house felt colder. They sat at opposite ends of the couch, the television playing to an empty room. "You don't have to explain," Yoon-jae said suddenly. Ji-hoon looked at him. "But I will," Ji-hoon said quietly. "He was my mistake. I loved him when I shouldn't have. I stayed longer than I should have." Yoon-jae didn't interrupt. "I thought marriage would make him disappear," Ji-hoon continued. "I was wrong." Yoon-jae's jaw tightened. "He doesn't get to come back." Ji-hoon hesitated. "You sound angry." Yoon-jae exhaled slowly. "I am. For me. For you, Yoon-jae corrected. And maybe for myself. The admission hung between them, raw and unexpected. After a moment, Yoon-jae stood. Lock the doors tonight, he said. I'll be home early. Concern. Ke. Unspoken. Ji-hoon watched him walk away and realized something dangerous had shifted. This marriage, born of obligation and silence, was beginning to matter. And that was terrifying. Chapter 4. The weight of standing beside you. The rumors did not fade. They evolved. They grew sharper, more intimate. Whispers that slipped through boardrooms and dinner parties, curling into places Ji-hoon had once believed were safe. Cold marriage. Bought affection. A pretty husband for appearances. Ji-hoon heard them all. He never responded. He had learned long ago that dignity was quieter than denial. But silence had a cost. Seo Yoon-jae noticed the change first in the mornings. Ji-hoon woke earlier now. Left later. Smiled less. He still bowed politely to Yoon-jae's parents during weekly dinners. Still dressed impeccably. Still spoke gently. But something had gone brittle. That night, Yoon-jae came home to find Ji-hoon sitting on the bedroom floor, back against the bed, hands clenched in his lap. He wasn't crying. Which frightened Yoon-jae more. Why didn't you tell me? Yoon-jae asked. Ji-hoon looked up, startled. Tell you what? That the board invited you to resign. Ji-hoon's expression stilled. They didn't force me, he said quietly. They suggested it would protect your reputation. Yoon-jae felt something inside him snap. You are my reputation. Ji-hoon's breath hitched. That's not how the world sees it. Yoon-jae crossed the room in 2 strides and knelt in front of him, voice low but fierce. Then the world is wrong. Ji-hoon stared at him, eyes glassy with something unguarded. Why do you care this much? Yoon-jae didn't answer immediately. Because the truth was dangerous. Because caring had once ruined him. Later that night, Yoon-jae stood alone on the balcony, city lights blurring in the distance. Ji-hoon joined him, wrapped in a thin sweater, shoulders tense. I didn't marry you for protection, Ji-hoon said softly. If this hurts you. It doesn't, Yoon-jae interrupted. Losing you would. The words landed heavy between them. Ji-hoon turned to face him. You don't even know me. I know you eat quietly when you're upset, Yoon-jae said. I know you flinch when people raise their voices. I know you apologize when you've done nothing wrong. Ji-hoon's eyes shimmered. That's enough. He reached out, not to touch, but close enough to feel warmth. For now. The past returned with claws the following week. Yoon-jae's own former lover, someone his family had approved of, someone he had trusted, reappeared in the press as an unnamed source close to the Seo family. The implication was clear. Yoon-jae read the article once. Then he tore it apart. That night, Ji-hoon found him standing in the dark living room, fists clenched, jaw rigid. They used him, Yoon-jae said. And now they're using you. Ji-hoon hesitated, then did something uncharacteristic. He stepped closer. You survived before, Ji-hoon said. So did I. Yoon-jae laughed bitterly. Barely. Ji-hoon reached out and took his hand. It was the first time either of them crossed that line. Yoon-jae froze. Then slowly, carefully, he closed his fingers around Ji-hoon's. The world outside continued its cruelty. Inside, something fragile but defiant took shape. That night, they slept in the same bed for the first time. Not touching. Not apart. Just close enough to hear each other breathe. And for the first time since the marriage began, neither of them felt alone. Chapter 5. The day he said my name. The invitation arrived embossed and formal. A charity gala hosted by the Seo family. Attendance required. Ji-hoon read it twice before placing it carefully on the table. They want a performance, he said softly. Yoon-jae adjusted his cufflinks in the mirror. Then we give them truth. Ji-hoon looked up. That's dangerous. So is hiding. The ballroom glittered with wealth and judgment. Ji-hoon felt it immediately, the way eyes followed him, measured him, weighed his worth. He stood tall anyway. Yoon-jae's hand brushed his back, subtle but grounding. "Stay close," Yoon-jae murmured. "Not because you need me." Ji-hoon met his gaze. "But because you want me to." "Yes." The speech was supposed to be harmless. A donor. A toast. Applause. Until someone asked the wrong question. "Chairman Seo," a voice called lightly, "how does your husband feel about the rumors?" The room stilled. Ji-hoon's pulse thundered. Yoon-jae didn't look at the crowd. He turned to Ji-hoon instead. "Come here," he said. Ji-hoon hesitated only a second before stepping forward. Yoon-jae took his hand, openly, unmistakably. "My husband feels tired," Yoon-jae said calmly, "of being kind to people who are cruel." A ripple passed through the room. "I married Ji-hoon because he is steady where I am sharp. Because he chooses grace when I choose war." Ji-hoon's eyes burned. "And because," Yoon-jae continued, voice firm, "I love him." The word landed like a thunderclap. Ji-hoon forgot how to breathe. "This marriage is not a rumor," Yoon-jae said. "It is my life. Disrespect him again, and you disrespect me." Silence. Then applause, hesitant at first, then growing. Ji-hoon squeezed Yoon-jae's hand, overwhelmed. "You didn't have to say that." "I did," Yoon-jae replied quietly. "It was long overdue." Later, on the balcony overlooking the city, Ji-hoon finally broke. "I was prepared to disappear," he admitted, voice shaking. "I thought that was my role." Yoon-jae cupped his face gently. "You are not something to endure. You are someone to be chosen." Ji-hoon leaned into the touch before he could stop himself. "I don't know how to love without fear," he whispered. "Then we'll learn slowly," Yoon-jae said. "Together." Their foreheads touched. No kiss, just promise. That night, Ji-hoon slept wrapped in Yoon-jae's arms, heart pounding with something terrifying and bright. Hope. Chapter 6. What We Chose to Keep. The morning after the gala was quiet. No headlines. No apologies. No miracles. Just sunlight slipping through the curtains and the steady rise and fall of Seo Yoon-jae's chest beside Ji-hoon. Ji-hoon lay awake, afraid to move. For so long, happiness had felt temporary. Something borrowed, something he would eventually have to return. He waited for the familiar ache of fear to arrive. It didn't. Yoon-jae stirred, eyes opening slowly. When he saw Ji-hoon watching him, he didn't pull away. "Did I scare you last night?" Yoon-jae asked. Ji-hoon shook his head. "You saved me." Yoon-jae frowned gently. "No. You stayed." The words settled deep, rewriting something old and painful. They didn't rush after that. Love, when it finally arrived, was not loud. It came in small things. Yoon-jae learned how Ji-hoon took his tea. Ji-hoon reminded Yoon-jae to rest his injured hand. Shared dinners that turned into shared silences, comfortable, warm. The rumors faded when they were no longer fed. Some people left. Some bridges burned. Yoon-jae did not chase them. The ex tried once more. A message. An apology shaped like nostalgia. Ji-hoon stared at it for a long time before deleting it. Yoon-jae watched quietly. "Do you regret it?" Ji-hoon shook his head. "I regret thinking pain was all I deserved." Yoon-jae reached for his hand, thumb brushing over Ji-hoon's knuckles like it was the most natural thing in the world. "You deserve peace," he said. "And joy. And a love that stays." Ji-hoon smiled, small, real. "Then don't leave." "I'm not going anywhere." The first kiss happened on an ordinary evening. No rain. No drama. Just a shared couch and a movie neither of them was watching. Ji-hoon laughed at something Yoon-jae said, turned too quickly, and stopped. They were close. Close enough to see the hesitation in Yoon-jae's eyes. "May I?" Yoon-jae asked. Ji-hoon nodded. The kiss was gentle. Careful. As if both of them understood how fragile this moment was, and how strong. When they pulled apart, Ji-hoon rested his forehead against Yoon-jae's. "I love you," he said, voice steady for the first time in his life. Yoon-jae exhaled, something unguarded breaking free. I've loved you longer than I meant to. Months later, the house no longer felt like borrowed space. It was home. Ji-hoon kept plants by the windows. Yoon-jae learned how to cook badly but enthusiastically. They argued. They apologized. They chose each other again and again. The marriage that began as obligation became something else entirely. Not perfect, but honest. And when people asked how it happened, how two guarded men found something so solid, Ji-hoon would smile softly. We stopped surviving, he'd say, and started choosing, Yoon-jae would add. Every day.